Hello everybody and thank you for joining us. My name is Associate Professor Trisha Jenkins and I'm the Assistant Associate Dean of Biomedical Sciences in the School of Health and Biomedical Sciences here at RMIT University. Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the Biomedical Sciences degree and I'll be joined by my colleagues, Dr. Rula Kuriaku, who will talk about laboratory medicine, and Associate Professor Tamara Paravicini, who will talk about the Pharmaceutical Sciences degrees. Our programs are world-renowned and allow students to work across a variety of disciplines. We manage to replicate real-world experience so they'll be suited for when they start their careers. We do have a chat function available during the presentation today, so please pop any questions you have into the chat and we'll answer them as we go along. Could I have the next slide, please? So before we begin, I'd like to begin the acknowledgement of country. So RMIT University acknowledges the people of the Woiwurrung and Bunwurrung language groups of the Eastern Kulin Nation on whose unceded lands we conduct the business of the university. RMIT University respectfully acknowledges their ancestors and elders, past and present. RMIT University also acknowledges the traditional custodians and their ancestors of the lands and waters across Australia where we conduct our business. Could I have the next slide, please? Thank you. RMIT is committed to redefining its relationship in working with supporting Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander self-determination. The university's goal is to achieve lasting transformation by maturing its values, culture, policy and structures in a way that embeds reconciliation in everything that we do. In line with the principles of Bunjalil, we are changing our ways of knowing, working and beginning to support sustainable reconciliation and activate a relationship between Indigenous and non-Indigenous staff, our students and our community. Thank you. So now I'd just like to tell you a little bit about the Biomedical Sciences degree here at RMIT. Could I have the next slide, please? So what exactly is biomedical science? So biomedical science forms the basis of our understanding on how our human body functions, how we think, how we breathe, how we walk, and how the responses of the body to various diseases, to exercise, to diet, to internal disturbances and environmental influence such as stress and infection affect how our human body functions. It's a broad area of science that it's all about understanding the human body and how it interacts with disease, how disease occurs, what happens when we get disease, how we can control, cure and prevent it. And at RMIT, we teach everything from cancer to cardiovascular disease to neurological diseases such as depression. Biomedical sciences involves an understanding of the anatomy and the physiology, as well as the biochemistry. That is what is going on with our chemical processes and how they interact with each other in our body. We aim to have our students job ready and we're industry connected. The Bachelor of Biomedical Science is based at the Bundoora campus and it is a 3-year degree. Could I have the next slide, please? Thank you. So where do biomedical science students work? Well, our biomedical science students for today are our future biomedical researchers for tomorrow. Biomedical science students can conduct biomedical research in universities, in hospitals, and in biomedical research institutes. For example, our students have gained positions at the Florey Institute, which is a neuroscience institute based at University of Melbourne, at the Weehai Institute, and of course at the Doherty Institute, which you've heard so much about because it's in the news all the time when we talk about COVID. Students can work at medical and pharmaceutical research companies to put the practice of what biomedical researchers do into treating human disease. Our students work in public and private diagnostic centres, in therapeutic research laboratories, and in applied health areas like health promotion and administration. And this can be for private organisations, for charities, for universities and hospitals, and even government departments. As you can see, the career outcomes for a biomedical science student are very broad, and we make sure that you are suited for these careers. Could I have the next slide, please? Okay, so this is the program structure, the biomedical science degree here at RMIT. Rula and Tamara will talk about the laboratory medicine and the pharmaceutical science degrees, and you'll see that the first year is very similar across all these three programs. We start students off with a foundational knowledge of cell biology, chemistry, statistics and epidemiology, some biochemistry, microbiology, genetics, and of course, anatomy and physiology. We have a Introduction to Biomedical Science course, which is focused just for biomedical science students, where we teach career skills and presentation skills and discuss with the students what they can do in careers going forward. Importantly, in the first year, we've also introduced a new Foundations of Artificial Intelligence for STEM courses, which is one of the new STEM college courses that are being introduced in all programs, which is making sure our degrees are current and make our students ready for the future. In the second year, you can see that students study biochemistry in both semesters, and also human physiology. So you have an understanding of how the whole body works, from the brain to our kidneys to how our blood moves around the body. Students study developmental and cell biology. They have an option of a university elective where they could choose really any course that they're interested in, but they also start choosing some core options. So this can include things like pharmacology, immunology, anatomy, or microbiology, to get a feel about what students really feel like they want to study about as they go forward. As you can see from the third year, there are a number of program electives here. This is because biomedical science has options, so students can choose to study what they're interested in. They can continue their study of pharmacology or anatomy or biochemistry, but they can also broaden to talk about cardiorespiratory biology, neuroscience, tissue growth and repair. Some genetics courses as well are included there. We have a core cellular communication course, which is an advanced cell biology course, where you get to do laboratory techniques that are used in research laboratories now. And importantly, we have a practical biomedical sciences course. This is a WIL, or what we call work integrated learning course. This is where the biomedical science students get to spend some time in a research laboratory. So students have the opportunity to go outside of RMIT, and we have students who have been working at the Baker Institute, which is based near the Alfred, or at the Olivia Newton-John Cancer Centre, which is within the Austin complex. But many students also choose to complete their practical biomed experience at RMIT. We have world-renowned researchers here, and students get to work in labs that look at COPD, so chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or asthma, labs that look at HIV, labs that are studying COVID, or labs that are studying obesity. So it really gives them a good feel for what they want to do in the future. Next slide, please. So what makes biomedical science at RMIT so exciting? So as you've seen from the previous slide, there's flexibility in what you choose to study. You may like to have a degree that combines some pharmacology and biochemistry. You might be more focused on studying something like pathology and anatomy, and you have the choice to do that. Our degree has a professional focus, as I've discussed. You get to interact with biomedical science researchers, and I should note that many of these researchers actually contribute to courses in the undergraduate program. So that makes sure our content is up to date with the latest research that is going on. We take a smaller number of students in than other biomedical science programs. So this means our class sizes are smaller. This means there are higher staff-student ratios. We all know and remember your name. And that means that you have the opportunity to have some really good laboratory experiences because we have smaller class sizes that we can run really good techniques through. As I discussed, there's work integrated learning, and we have a very strong research active environment. So you get to be involved as an undergraduate in the research that's going on and shaping the future treatments for Australian health. Importantly, there's a smooth transition to research degrees. Within our teaching team, we run the Biomedical Science Honours degree, and this is where you complete a full 2 semesters in the laboratory after you have completed your degree. We have modern research facilities and great teaching facilities. And the Bundoora campus is very special because it really has a focus on health and biomedical science. Next slide, please. Okay, so what are our entry requirements? So currently our ATAR is 70.10, and the prerequisites for biomedical science is a study score of at least 20 in chemistry and a study score of at least 20 in either maths or physics. You're also required to have a study score of at least 25 in English or at least 30 in English EAL. Could I have the next slide, please? Thank you. If you don't fit those criteria, this does not stop you getting into our degree. We have a number of excellent pathways through our VE program that allow you to transition smoothly from VE into the undergraduate degrees. So pathway A is a Diploma of Laboratory Technology by Biotechnology, and this allows you to move into the second year of the Bachelor of Biomedical Science degree upon completion of the program. So the second pathway is the Associate Degree in Applied Sciences, and again, you get credit for your first year of the Biomedical Science degree on completion, and then you have 2 years full-time within Bachelor of Biomedical Sciences. We have large amount of successes with our students moving from the VE degree into our undergraduate program. Could I have the next slide, please? Okay, so what about further study? It's often said now that the Bachelor of Biomedical Science degrees are stepping stone degrees, and that is true. So as I discussed, if you feel like you want to become a biomedical science researcher, you would move into an honours degree and then perhaps into a research master's or PhD. So you can be involved in the biomedical science research culture within Australia. The biomedical science students at RMIT also have another opportunity to complete an honours degree in the Pharmaceutical Science Honours Placement. And Tamara will discuss that further down in the slide, so I'll just leave that for now. Within RMIT, biomedical science students can also complete further study in pharmacy, in laboratory medicine, and Rula will be talking about that next, in medical radiations. They may complete a DipEd and become a science teacher, or they can study and perhaps another degree in journalism. And externally, biomedical science is a stepping stone into medical associated degrees and also covers entry into degrees like optometry, physiotherapy, and other health allied degrees like speech therapy and dietetics. It gives you a good base to get into any of these health associated programs. So I will now hand over to my colleague, Dr. Rula Kiriakou, who will talk to you about laboratory medicine. Thank you, Rula.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Rula Kiriakou and I'm from Laboratory Medicine. Next slide, please. Okay, so laboratory medicine is pretty much a degree where we specifically train you to work in the diagnostic pathology industry. Okay, so the work of a pathology medical scientist is very important, as we know, and currently our scientists are working around the clock, helping to process all of the COVID-19 tests. And not only are the scientists working incredibly hard, but so are our students, because our students are out on clinical placement and they are helping the industry with this very important work. So the scientists conduct pathology tests in all areas of health. We process tests that help us diagnose kidney disease or liver disease or heart disease. And that can be done with a simple blood test, but it's not just about blood tests. We collect a lot of different body samples that, of course, can be a number of different ways, one of which is the nasal swab that we use for processing the COVID-19 test. So basically, our scientists investigate, diagnose and monitor the treatment of disease, and they help the health professionals then treat disease. So a scientist in the pathology industry can manage all aspects of a laboratory's operation. They can do work ranging from specimen reception to diagnostic methods to processing of results and releasing results. And of course, once we have those results, the clinicians and the doctors can make those important decisions about how to treat disease and, of course, patients. And then patients can be treated and managed effectively. Next slide, please. Okay, so in diagnostic pathology, our scientists can specialise in many different disciplines. We've got cytopathology and histopathology. Those two are also referred to collectively as anatomical pathology. So here the scientists can detect disorders like cancer, specific types of cancer. Then we've got clinical biochemistry. Clinical biochemistry is where scientists detect abnormalities of body chemistry, so disorders like diabetes. Then we've got hematology, where our scientists detect abnormalities in blood and bone marrow, so disorders like leukemias, haemophilias, etc. Then we've got microbiology, of course. Microbiology, we detect infectious disorders. In molecular science, we can detect infectious disorders, but we can also detect specific types of cancers and also inherited disorders. And in transfusion and transplantation science, here our scientists test donated blood and blood products so that we make sure that they're safe and compatible for patient use. So in our laboratory medicine degree, we introduce all of those specialty areas to our students, and then they can go on further and major in some of these. Next slide, please. So laboratory medicine is a 4-year degree. It's the science of pathology. Laboratory medicine is the science of pathology. It's all about detecting and diagnosing disease and helping healthcare professionals to treat disease correctly and, of course, manage patients correctly and effectively. The degree is a 4-year degree, as I said, and it incorporates a clinical placement, a professional practice placement, and it provides our students with work-ready skills and experience in a diagnostic pathology laboratory. The program, very significantly, is accredited by the Australian Institute of Medical and Clinical Scientists, also known as AIMS. Okay, so this is one of 2 degrees in Victoria that is accredited by AIMS. The other one is our master's degree, which is also offered here at RMIT. So we're very unique here at RMIT in that we deliver the 2 AIMS accredited degrees here in Victoria. And the major areas of study include anatomical pathology, and as I said, this encompasses histopathology and we've got clinical biochemistry, hematology, medical microbiology, and transfusion and transplantation science. And molecular sciences is taught with these major areas of also as standalone courses as well. Next slide, please. Thank you. So our structure of the program, as you can see, is a 4-year degree. Our first year, very common to, as Tricia said, a medical science degree. We've got our core subjects there, our core courses. And then in second year, we introduce our students to our what we call professional courses. So we do things like clinical immunology, histology, but also in second semester, we introduce our students to the clinical immunology, diagnostic microbiology, anatomical pathology, hematology, and transfusion and transplantation science. So they are our professional courses that then can lead into third year, where students specialise in two of the program electives, which are our majors, the program listed there on the right. As well as specialising in two of those, students do 2 units of pathology, as you can see, general and integrative pathology. They also do molecular science in molecular genetics and diagnostics, and they further specialise again in second semester within a course called Advanced Laboratory Medicine. So there's a lot of exposure to our professional and clinical specialty areas within the first 3 years there. And then fourth year is all about professional practice. In the first semester, we prepare our students for that clinical placement, which runs in second semester. So in second semester, the students go out full-time. It's a semester-long course where they work in a diagnostic laboratory, either in one of the major hospitals or in a private pathology laboratory, either here in Melbourne or in regional Victoria. And we also have strong partnerships in New South Wales and South Australia. So that's the structure of our program. Next slide, please. As well as the undergraduate degree, we offer a master's degree. Now, this is a 2-year degree and it's an advanced qualification. So here we basically offer this program to students and graduates from a general science degree or science degree where they now want to enter the diagnostic pathology workforce. They want to get work in the diagnostic pathology industry, and this helps them because, as I mentioned, it's AIMS accredited, and we also have that clinical placement at the end of this degree, which helps the students secure a placement, secure employment at the end of their degree. So just reiterating that our undergraduate and our postgraduate laboratory medicine degrees are the only programs in Victoria that are accredited by AIMS. Please. Okay, for our bachelor's degree, our current ATAR is 75.55. When students or applicants need a study score of at least 30 in English, EAL, or at least 25 in English other than EAL. They also need a study score of at least 20 in one of biology or chemistry and one of any maths or physics. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so professional practice is a key component of our degrees. We organise the placements. They are 16 weeks, as I've said. They're full-time placements within one semester. Our students, the major public hospitals around Melbourne, private pathology labs like Dorevitch Pathology or Melbourne Pathology, Australian clinical laboratories, but we also have placements at places like Peter MacCallum Centre or the VCCC. Our students, of course, get hands-on invaluable industry experience, and they are definitely workforce ready by the time they graduate. Next slide, please. So career outcomes, of course, diagnostic pathology industry is one of our career outcomes, but our students can also take the medical research pathway. Some of our graduates can also enter the pharmaceutical industry, depending on their skill set, depending on which specializations they've done. So some companies might need anatomical pathology skills or biochemistry skills. So that's an option. Our students can also work as laboratory assistants. After year 2, they can actually gain within the industry part-time as laboratory assistants or medical technicians. I do a lot. I actually complete a lot of referee reports for our students because a lot of the industry people do contact me. Our graduates can also be involved in training other scientists in specialty areas, and we use a lot of our industry members to come along to our practical classes and help us deliver our practical sessions. And that way we keep the content up to date, current, and aligned with industry. So they make a very important contribution and take time release off work in order to help us out in that way. And the other thing that our graduates can do is also get into laboratory management. Okay, next slide, please. Industry connections, of course, that is one of the strengths of our programs. We have our industry partners that help us out in third year with specific projects in advanced laboratory medicine. Our students go out on placement, as I said, locally, interstate, and pre-COVID, our students also went overseas. We have strong partnerships in the UK and in Europe. They can also become members of AIMS. It's a free membership, the student membership, and with that they have access to a lot of privileges, and so they can enter competitions and have access to a lot of the material that the scientists also do. In year one onwards, we also have site visits, so we don't only just have experience in the placement. We also have site visits to Box Hill Hospital, Austin Hospital, and also Melbourne Pathology, so the students can get a sense of what it will be like before they get to professional practice. And of course, whilst on professional practice, they are mentored by the lab supervisors, so they receive mentoring. And next slide. And finally, one of the strengths of our programs is, like I said, our industry connections. We have our professional practice, which is a highlight of our program. Our graduates and current students are invited to be part of the Industry Advisory Committee, where they can contribute to the development and relevance of the program. And of course, we have the accreditation by AIMS, which is quite a strength for our program. Okay, so now I'll pass it on to my colleague, Tamara Paravicini, who'll talk about pharmaceutical sciences.
Hello everyone and good afternoon. My name's Dr. Tamara Paravicini and I'm the Program Manager of the Pharmaceutical Science degrees here at RMIT University. So I'm going to start out by answering one of the most frequently asked questions about our pharmaceutical science degree programs, and that is, what is pharmaceutical sciences? Pharmaceutical sciences refers to a whole range of different careers within the pharmaceutical industry, and I think it's probably best summed up by saying that it is about the science and the business of developing new medications. So the focus of the pharmaceutical science industry is to develop new medications and therapies to help improve the health of individuals. Now, what you might not know is that there is a very large and complicated process that is involved in bringing any new medication onto the market where it can be used in patients. So it varies depending on what type of medication you're looking at and what type of disease is being treated. But as a general rule of thumb, it takes over 10 years and around $1 billion in investment to bring a new medication from the early stages of research into a situation where it can be prescribed for patients to help improve their health outcomes and treat their disease. So pharmaceutical scientists can work in all aspects of that industry, everything from the original laboratory-based work through to all of the extensive testing that is required in medication development to make sure that these medications are both safe for patients to use and also effective at treating the particular disease that they're designed for. So the overall aim of the industry is to deliver better treatments for patients. So as part of that, obviously pharmaceutical sciences involves a lot of study in the basic biomedical sciences. So pharmaceutical scientists need to know about the human body, about how the body works and how different drugs and medications act on the body. But it also includes industry-focused courses as well. And I'll talk about that a little bit more. So the key thing is that graduates from the Pharmaceutical Sciences program move into a whole range of different careers which are actively involved in improving Australia's health. So our graduates are involved in bringing new treatments and medications to the people that need them. So in terms of the specific career outcomes, you can see on the next slide that we've got students, or graduates I should say, from our program that work in a range of different parts of the pharmaceutical science industry. The majority of graduates from our program work in some sort of clinical research. So one of the main things that's involved in bringing a new medication to market is an extensive process of clinical trials and clinical testing. Now, in some ways it's quite timely that I'm talking about this at the moment. Well, obviously with treatments for COVID, new vaccines, we've heard a lot about clinical trials at the moment. I think I've probably heard more mentions of clinical trials in the media over the last 18 months than what I have over the last 20 years. So clinical trials is an extensive and highly regulated process where potential new medications are tested to make sure that they are safe and effective. And that's where the majority of our graduates work. Clinical trials is a growing industry in Australia. So in 2019, which is the most recent year that we've got figures available, expenditure on clinical trials was around about $1 billion. There was over 95,000 participants in clinical trials, and the sector employed over 8,000 individuals. So it's a big sector and it's a growing sector in Australia. So some of our graduates will be working in clinical trials that are taking place in hospitals. They may be working with pharmaceutical companies and contract research organisations that are involved in the conduct, the management and the regulation of those clinical trials. We also have graduates that work in other aspects of the pharmaceutical science industry as well, because once a medication has been approved and is available on the market to patients, that doesn't mean that we stop looking after that medication. So there's a range of different things that take place after a drug has made it to market that ensure that that drug is still being used safely and effectively to improve health outcomes. So if we move on to the next slide, you can see some more details about what the Pharmaceutical Sciences degree is. So the Pharmaceutical Science Bachelor program is a 3-year degree. So it starts off with some biomedical sciences, so learning about the human body, how drugs act in the body, etc. In addition to that understanding of physiology and pharmacology, we then, in the later years of the degree, move on to the more industry-focused courses. So you'll be studying the specifics of the drug development process. So what takes the development of a drug through from an idea at the laboratory bench all the way through to a medication that could be being used in thousands or tens of thousands of people. We'll talk a lot about the clinical use of medications and the processes that are involved in bringing a medication to market. So you'll learn lots of things about how clinical trials are designed and managed, as well as the different safety and regulatory processes that make sure that those treatments are safe and effective. The bachelor degree is based at the Bundoora campus and it is a 3-year degree program. So let's now have a look at what you'll be studying in each of those 3 years of the course. So the Pharmaceutical Sciences is quite a structured program because of that industry focus. So in year 1, you will see that it is quite a similar structure to the Bachelor of Biomedical Science that Tricia introduced you to, as well as the Laboratory Medicine degree that Ruler introduced you to. So across all 3 of those degrees, you'll be learning some introductory biology, some chemistry. You'll be introduced to human biosciences or anatomy and physiology, as well as to some new courses in medical biochemistry, microbiology, etc. In year 2, you step up to a little bit more of a focus on the human body. So you'll be studying physiology, which is how the human body acts. You'll study biochemistry, and you'll also be introduced to pharmacology. So pharmacology is the study of drugs and medications and how they act. In the 3rd year of your degree is where you really start moving into more of an industry focus. So you'll learn a lot more pharmacology, and specifically you'll learn about what we call therapeutics. So therapeutics are drugs and medications used to treat disease. So you'll learn a lot more about all the different types of drugs that are used to treat things like cardiovascular disease, cancer, respiratory disease, chronic immune disorders, etc. You'll also then start focusing in on what we call our industry-focused courses. So you'll be learning things about the drug development process, clinical trials, the different types of regulations that surround the safe and effective use of medications. So if that's what the course structure is, how do you get there? So as you can see on the next slide, we have our entry requirements there. So for entry into the pharmaceutical sciences program, the prerequisite courses for Year 12 graduates are Unit 3-4 English, and the study scores you can see on the slide there. We also have a prerequisite for entry of Units 3-4 Chemistry with a study score of at least 20, and Units 3-4 a study score of at least 20 in one of any of the mathematics or physics. Okay, and that prerequisite entry requirements are just reflecting the knowledge that you'll need to succeed into that degree program. And you can see here as well, our 2021 ATAR was 72. Now, what if you don't have those entry requirements? What if you haven't studied chemistry, for example, or you're a bit concerned that your ATAR might not be enough to get into the course? Like the other biomedical science type degrees at RMIT, we also have pathways into our degree program. And the pathways into the pharmaceutical science degree is either via the associate degree in applied science or via the combination of the Cert 4 in laboratory techniques plus the diploma of laboratory technology. We've had these pathways in place for our program for a number of years, and graduates that complete either that associate degree or the Cert 4 Diploma of Lab Technology pathway will receive credit for the full first year of the pharmaceutical sciences degree. So that will leave them with 2 years of equivalent full-time study to complete once they're in that degree program. We've had these pathways in place for a number of years, and we've had quite a few graduates of those pathway programs that have gone on to successfully complete our pharmaceutical science programs. So where do our students end up? So our students end up working in all different aspects of the pharmaceutical science industry, and our degree program has a very tight connection with industry as well. We have a very active industry connection, so a lot of our courses, particularly in the third year of our degrees, which has that industry focus embedded within it. We have lots of current industry experts who not only provide input into shaping what is taught in that third year, but also we have a lot of guest lecturers coming in and teaching in their area of expertise. So you're learning not just from myself and Tricia and the other academic staff, but also from people that are actively working in the industry. So we have this work integrated learning embedded throughout the degree, but it's really a focus in the third year of the undergraduate degree. Now, the other thing that I haven't mentioned yet is that the pharmaceutical science has a 3-year degree, but we also have a 1-year honours program as well. And the majority of our graduates from the 3-year pharmaceutical sciences bachelor's degree actually end up going on and completing the Bachelor of Pharmaceutical Science honours program. And this honours program is quite a unique honours program because it is an industry focused honours degree. So in that honours degree, our students actually undertake an industry-based placement of approximately 40 weeks. Okay, so that's quite a long industry placement. So it provides students with lots and lots of time to develop skills and actually work within the industry and the workplace. But 40 weeks is also long enough that they can, in many cases, they actually work across multiple different areas of their industry placement. So if we move on to the next slide, you can see here where some of our recent industry partners industry placements have been. So these are all examples of where our students have undertaken this industry-based honours in the last few years or so. And you can see that we've got quite a wide range of industry partners that take our students, everything from large pharmaceutical companies through to contract research organisations and also more public bodies as well, so health networks, etc. So you can see that our pharmaceutical sciences program is a program that is highly industry focused and has a wide range of potential opportunities for graduates at the end of their career. Thank you. So I think with that, I will pass back to Associate Professor Tricia Jenkins to moderate the questions.
Thank you very much, Rula and Tamara. Some interesting information, and we've had some really interesting questions, some of which we've answered in the chat. Rula, can I direct one to you? A student has a question that they had previously studied a diploma in laboratory technology from Swinburne, and they're interested in the laboratory medicine degree. They're wondering how the pathway will work from say a diploma at Swinburne into the laboratory medicine degree.
Yes, I can answer that. Thanks, Tricia. Yes, that is a pathway to enter the laboratory medicine degree into our year 2. So if you've completed the certificate and the diploma, so 2 years in total, then that is a to apply to get into our second year. So not only for Swinburne, but also our RMIT diploma students and Cert 4 students that are doing the diploma in laboratory techniques, and then after that the diploma in laboratory technology, so 2 years. After they've completed that, they can enter laboratory medicine and be exempted from 8 courses, 7 from year 1 and 1 from year 2. And similarly, as Tricia and Tamara also said, students that do the associate degree, 2 years of the associate degree and complete that, they can enter into our year 2 as well. I hope that helps.
That's great, Rula. Thank you. We actually had a couple of questions from students wondering about previous study and how that works when they come into one of our degrees. So I'll just add that there is always an ability to get credit for prior learning. We assess the different courses that students have done in their previous degree and see if they match up to courses in our degree now. So that is something that we definitely look at when someone is entering each degree after they've studied somewhere previously. I'm just seeing if we have any other questions in the chat at the moment. I guess what another thing I just want to add is, as you can see from our degrees, we're very, very interested in making sure when students finish their degree, they are job ready or next degree ready. We want to make sure that what students learn at uni is up to date and focused, and then it can be put into practice in the workplace or is useful and important for their next degree. I can see that we have a question about Rula, could you tell us a little bit more about the Bachelor of Laboratory Medicine? Someone is asking about they have a diploma of health science from Deakin and a Bachelor's of Accounting, and would they be able to get entry into the Bachelor of Lab Medicine, not the Master's? My apologies.
Yes. No, that's all right. They'd have to go through, if they've got the diploma, I'd have to have a look at what they've actually studied and whether they could apply, they need to apply through VTAC or not. So I think the best way to answer that would be for them to email me directly. So if someone could put my email address in the chat for that student, I think that's the best way to answer that, because I'd need more information.
That's great.
Yep.
And we do have another question about entry of students who have completed undergraduate study and entry into the Masters of Laboratory Medicine. I guess what advantages does that give them from the undergraduate degree?
Sorry, can you repeat that, Tricia?
Oh, sorry. We have a query.
Yep.
Could you discuss more about the application and entry of students who have completed an undergraduate degree and then want to enter the Masters of Laboratory Medicine?
Okay, so if students have completed a biological sciences degree or generic science degree, the entrance requirement into the Masters is an average of 60% and above, or an 8 or a GPA of 2 out of 4 and above. That's one of the requirements. And then it really depends what the students have studied in their bachelor. I need to assess what subjects you've done and whether you're eligible to enter in semester 1 or semester 2. Generally speaking, if people have strong biochemistry or microbiology background, in other words, they've done practical classes in year 3 and maybe majored in biochemistry or microbiology in year 3, then they can enter in semester 1. If people don't have that background, then they can enter in semester 2. And we assume that people don't have that laboratory medicine background when they enter in semester 2, as long as you've got that average of 60% and above, or GPA 2 out of 4 and above.
Okay, thank you.
Clear? Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
Tamara, shall I? I might ask you a question. Tamara, I have a question from a student that's actually asking about transferring from one of our degrees into medical imaging, but maybe we could just broaden that out a bit and talk about, I guess, moving from one program to another within RMIT.
Yeah, sure, Tricia. So I think the key thing is that, so we've obviously highlighted the fact that there are direct pathway programs into all 3 of the programs that we have talked about today. We do have students that transfer internally between different programs. So for example, within some of the programs that we have today, we might have students that start in biomedical sciences and move into laboratory medicine, or they might start in pharmaceutical sciences and decide they want to move more into biomedical sciences and be a bit broader in their studies. So it really all depends. We do also have students that move laterally in between, that can apply for and move laterally or transfer in between programs at RMIT. And in many cases, students will be able to get credit for the subjects that they've already studied at RMIT if they are equivalent to a course that is required in another program. So it's quite difficult to give really direct advice on that, because it is going to vary on a case-by-case basis. We've got many different programs in School of Health and Biomedical Sciences at RMIT, so it's difficult to give a direct answer that covers all of the dozens of different combinations that could be in place. But there's definitely the opportunity to apply for transfer between programs, and then once you're in that program, to then apply for recognition of prior learning for things that have been done outside of RMIT, or for credits that have been done within.
Thank you, Tamara. I have another question here about what are the steps to study biomedical sciences courses from year 12. So from year 12, we ask you to have a study score of at least 20 in chemistry and either maths or physics, and a study score of at least 25 in English. If you do not have those, do not despair. As we detailed, there are a number of RMIT VE courses, including the Diploma of Laboratory Technology and the Associate Degree in Science, that allows you entry into our pathways, into our degrees. Sorry, Rula, sorry, I'll just grab you again. Lots of people interested in the master's program. Okay. Someone's asking about how many people do you take into the master's program every year in the Masters of Laboratory Medicine?
Generally, we take between 60 and 65 per semester. So those that start in semester 1, we take it between 60 and 65, and then, like I said, there's another entry mid-year, and we take between 60 and 65 in second semester.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm just seeing if Tamara or Rula would like to add anything. Oh, sorry. Someone's just put up another question. My apologies. Rula, sorry, we're making you work on your Sunday.
That's all right. That's okay. My pleasure.
It's good to have the interest. Someone was asking about the different. Sorry, I've just lost it now. The question has gone. Sorry. No, I think somebody's answered the question. Sorry. Someone was asking about the different specialties you can do in laboratory medicine, and someone's answered that question, and also someone's put up the details already that this has been recorded and will be available later on.
Fabulous.
Thank you. There's a question of whether it's possible to enter the Diploma of Laboratory Technology with only Year 12 completion, or do we have to complete the Cert 4 first? Can someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm fairly sure that a student can enter into the Diploma of Laboratory Technology with Year 12, and they do not have to complete the Cert 4 first.
I think for laboratory medicine, because there have been changes in recent times, they need to have done the 1 year Cert 4 for laboratory medicine plus the 1 year diploma. So they need to do 2 years before they can enter our degree in Year 2. Yeah, yep, because they get exemptions from our first year based on the subjects they've done in the Cert 4 and the diploma. So there's an overlap of subjects that they need to complete there before they get exempted from those 8 courses in laboratory medicine.
Excellent. Thank you, Rula. Tamara, is there anything else you think we need to add today? I think we've answered all the questions that are there.
Yeah, I think we have, Tricia. I think one thing I might just highlight as well, particularly that will be of relevance for all students that are coming into all 3 of these programs, and in fact, almost any of the health and biomedical science courses at RMIT, is just highlighting one of the fabulous new bits of infrastructure that RMIT has just invested in the new Digital Human Biosciences facility, which is a wonderful new set of teaching designated laboratory spaces, and they've been specifically and custom designed for the teaching of anatomy and physiology, using both some traditional methodology in anatomy teaching, but more excitingly, lots of digital methodologies as well. So we have RMIT has made a lot of investment into new digital technologies for teaching, and in particular teaching in that anatomy and physiology. So we have these wonderful anatomage tables, which are these massive, they're massive, I think they're about 2 meters long by about 1 meter wide, and apologies if my dimensions are not very good, and they're basically interactive touchscreens that essentially allow students to be able to look at, do virtual dissections, looking at different layers and structures of the body, being able to zoom from macroscopic levels into microscopic levels, etc. And we've also got some similar types of new digital and technological enhancements in the physiology teaching spaces as well. So those that's a brand new facility that's just I think we had our first classes in there basically 2 days before we went into the most recent lockdown in Victoria. So that's going to be an opportunity that all students in these 3 programs, but also in the broader School of Health and Biomedical Science programs, will get an opportunity to study in that new facility.
Thanks, Tamara. Yes, the facility does look amazing, but it's it's obviously we're in lockdown now, but we hope to get back in there again soon. And I guess the lockdown segues to another question, which was how have the courses changed through remote learning during COVID, and in particular for things like pracs? So obviously this is unfortunately our 2nd year where we've been used to having COVID in our community, and we've had to move our learning from face-to-face to online. We have a continual turning over of plans in place to make sure that our students are not affected in their learning as much as we can. So for now, all our lectures are pre-recorded and are online. And we run a lot of, at the moment, online workshops and tutorials. Previously, well, before we went into the last lockdown, there was an option for both. So some students could come in face-to-face and do workshops face-to-face, while others may choose to do online. As for practicals, it really depends on the course. If the courses seem to be relevant to Will, we are actually going to we're actually able to get dispensation to run courses online, and some of our courses, especially in laboratory medicine, have been doing that. Some of the other courses which are not so don't fit the guidelines. We've been running pracs online, and we've been analysing data and writing prac reports and talking to you about that as much as we can. I will note that for something like, as I said, some of the pracs are still face-to-face, and also for example, the biomedical science students who are doing their practical biomed component, the wheel component in their last semester, because they're working in research laboratories, they're still able to continue with this as well. So we're continually learning about COVID and about lockdown, and we're continually moving our teaching to make sure that our students get the best experience that we can. Okay, I think we've answered all the questions that are there. So, and I'm mindful that we're almost at the time that we are. For everyone who has attended, I really want to say thank you for listening. And I want to thank you, my colleagues, Tamara and Rula, who have spoken today. And also we have a couple of people in the background. So we have Daniel and Catherine and Helen that have been helping us, and Jeff, who have been helping us with questions as well. Thank you. Thanks for taking the time to learn about our globally recognised programs. There's a lot more information of these programs on our website. There are contacts that you can make if you have specific questions, of course. And with that, I will say have a nice afternoon, and we hope to see you at RMIT soon. So thank you very much, everybody. Bye.
Bye, everyone.